Happy Wednesday, guys. Is he going to make it to the island, or is the current of the sea going to pull him away from it? Let's find out. Then from the far off came the first muffled thunder of the reef. Now, as waves get close to an island, they crash over this reef, and that makes a loud sound. So he's hearing it. So he's getting pretty close now. The bottom of the surf, high bursting on the barrier coral. That sound was the voice of Moana. Someday, Mufasa, someday. Involuntarily, the boy shuddered. Would his ears never be free of the sea god's threat? Mufasa was powerless to guide his craft. He sensed that the current had quickened. He could only watch helplessly as the little canoe, swift as the following gulls, rushed to meet the tides of the island, where they met and churned in the cross sea of conflict. Now, across the swells came a sound like a chorus of ghostly fishermen weary from their day's toil, seabirds always complaining, never at rest, while softer yet rising above it was another sound, the voice of the reef itself, quiet with sundown, like the reassuring hush of a mother to her child. Night stole up from the face of the sea, enveloping the world. There was no moon, but the black sky was spangled with unguessed millions of stars, other worlds, other suns. To the watching boy, with land in the offering, they seemed closer and more friendly. The bottom star of the Southern Cross pointed to the end of the world. A soft land breeze, heavy with the scent of flowers, wafted out across the dark waters, tantalizing, bittersweet. Weak with thirst, the boy drifted now into a merciful sleep. Oh my goodness, I got a terrible thought. He's going to fall asleep. His canoe's going to drift right by the island. It's going to keep on going, and he'll never get to the island. He struggled against it like a weary swimmer fighting a riptide, but his head drooped and his eyes closed. He was aroused at midnight by the thunderous tumult in his ears. All of a sudden, he felt the canoe under him lifted and flung high into the air. Then down it crashed into splinters upon the reef. Boy and dog were hurled headlong into the boiling surf. The shock of the cold water brought Mufasa half back to consciousness. Blindly, he struck out, fighting for survival. Yuri, where was he? No sign of the dog. The boy was aware that the canoe must have been flung over the barrier reef, for here the water was scarcely troubled by wind or tide. Now he was swimming. Somewhere ahead, a strip of beach, salt white in the darkness, lured him onward. His muscles did it of themselves. Only a will to live. A strip of sand, white in the night. He caught a gleam of a shark's belly, close at hand, but he swam. His unhampered limbs moved freely through the water. Of a sudden, there was something solid beneath his feet. Sand! Mufasa stumbled, staggered, fell to his knees in the shallows. His lips moved in dry, soundless speech. Lying there, with the water rippling and breaking over him, he pulled himself halfway up, swayed onward. The palms, trooping at the edge of the beach, were motioning in the night air. All the world seemed to hold his breath as this boy climbed up out of the sea. Yes! He did it! He made it to land! He fell to the sand once more, then, guided by he knew not what impulse, he dragged himself to the edge of the jungle. A murmur of water reached his ears, soft as a chuckle of pleasant laughter. Water, sweet water, down the face of an age-worn rock. A small cascade lost itself amid ferns and cool mosses. A ragged, strangling cry broke from Mufasa's throat. He stood upright to full height. So he's standing now. Then he crashed to the mossy bank. One cheek lay in the cool water. So he staggered because he could hear this water. Now a stream out of this island coming off this mountain would have fresh water. it wouldn't be salt water, so this he could drink. And he stood up, he crashed over, and his cheek landed in the water. The moon lifted above the rim of the palms. It outlined in silvery the form of the boy, thin with hunger, naked as a day star. It revealed a small wet dog dragging himself across the beach to his master's side. Mufasa lay without moving. Before Yuri drank, he touched the boy's cheek with his hot muzzle. So they made it to the water, and now we're going to find out about the next chapter tomorrow, the island.